West Side Story will be awards bait.
Yeah.
I've heard Belfast is really fucking good though, just genuinely.
If you're fucking 85.
No, I've heard from a lot of fucking people on TikTok that it's good.
Who the fuck on TikTok knows what Belfast is?
I'll send you the guy. I'll send you the guy. He's actually really cool. He does he reminds me of you, but less pretentious.
Okay.
Did you see Belfast?
No.
Then how do you don't?
Hey, Scott, I'll tell you what, 90% of the people that buy tickets to that at my theater are over the age of 65.
That's fine.
I can't joke, Scott.
No.
I know the numbers.
Movie news. We got a new trailer for Peacemaker.
Who gives a fuck?
I give a fuck. I thought that was my favorite character in the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, but
runtime revealed for Spider-Way No Home.
Oh yeah. So
nothing really.
Okay.
Nothing super cool. What have you guys been watching this week? Anything new? TV, movie?
I watched Halo Legends.
Man, I haven't seen
is that
forever. It's like an animation, like a bunch of different animators do Halo stories.
Oh,
fucking dope.
It's okay. Adrian has to judge it as soon as he hears about it.
Adrian doesn't like fun things anymore.
Oh yeah.
Adrian only he doesn't respect animation, only respects punk rock documentaries now.
If it's not heavy traffic, it's not a good animated movie.
Well,
This guy also directed Gothica.
Oh.
The Halo Legends dude?
No, the Haine dude.
There's no way.
Is it Haine or is it Haine?
It's Haine.
Whoa.
I thought it was Lahaine. Lahaine.
We can just call it hate if you want. But he really directed Gothica?
Yeah.
That's embarrassing.
He didn't write it. I mean, honestly, dude, first of all, it made $140 million on a $40 million budget, which is not bad. Imagine you're a French director and you get an offer to direct a Halle Berry movie in Hollywood. On paper, that's a good idea. That's a good career decision.
Is it?
I do wonder. Wait, did he also hold on? He also directed Babylon AD.
That's a fucking terrible movie.
That's weird.
Babylon AD is the one with fucking Vin Diesel, isn't it?
Yeah, I heard that was fucked with. I hear people argue that was fucked with in editing, but I don't think it'd be good anyway. So it's so weird.
Man, I really enjoyed this movie though. I will say that it was a little hard to get into for a second because the where I was streaming it off of, it took me a while to be able to actually find subtitles for it.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, really?
I was about to say, you got to read.
No, I don't mind subtitles at all.
Right.
Bro, I watch fucking anime. Are you kidding? I don't mind subtitles.
On Plex, there should be a button that automatically finds the best subtitles.
Well, that's what I did is I had to go through. Well, the original subtitles on there were just like I couldn't see them because it's in black and white, and like it just wasn't working with the background very well. So I had to go in and fuck with it.
Are we? Is the cast started?
Welcome back, guys, to the Harbor Podcast. We're talking about Haine, which is one of my favorite films of all time. It's from 1995, I think.
Yes. Yeah, 95.
French film, black and white. Of course, it's more relevant today than it ever is, which is sad because it's about, police brutality.
Well, I would say that it's more relevant back then because in 1995, there was a riot because of they took away service workers' money, like froze the money for service workers in France, and that's what caused the riots.
The French are legit always striking and protesting.
Yeah, they fucking are.
All they do.
But it's dark. It's like disgustingly relevant to today with police brutality.
And it follows three guys in a French suburban neighborhood, and not like an American suburban neighborhood, not like Conway, Arkansas.
It's the projects.
French suburbs are a little different.
He said he was. I think Hubie says it's basically the projects.
The film,
the translation and the subtitles say projects a lot.
Yeah,
which I don't know how well translated that is, but it gets the gist. I'm sure like anywhere there's nice suburbs, and then there's, you know, suburbs for the undesirables. Paris has a good amount of urban sprawl, I think, with suburb more than Madrid. I know.
The film starts after there's been a great deal of damage from rioting, and a lot of shit is fucked up and burned down, and they kind of just have to roll with it because that's their lives now, and it's kind of fucked. And it follows three dudes, Saeed, Vinz, and Hubert Farnsworth.
Cousin Hubie.
Yeah, Hubie.
It sounds almost, this movie almost sounds like the beginning of a bad joke, because it's a Jew, an Arab, and an African guy walking to a bar.
I was thinking the same thing. But it also starts, you learn through dialogue that one of their friends is in the hospital due to the police brutality. So it's extra tense for everything.
No, Abdel, because I mean, he's the guy. The riots were primarily over him getting beaten in police custody.
Yeah.
Hospitalized. Which is, of course, I mean, and this is still relevant because he was Arabic, and there's all sorts of debates over the hijab and stuff like that in France to this day. So
I mean, we
glad things have progressed in the past.
Over a fucking years. Magazine not too long ago.
What about Oprah magazine?
We had a not Oprah magazine. We had a terrorist attack during an Eagles of Death Metal show.
Yeah,
because of a magazine depicting Islam in not a great light. But you know, that's freedom press. Like, express yourself, whatever. I just have to say, this is my first time watching it. I think both of them have both watched it. This was I was given a set of 3 movies to Wick, and I was like, fuck it, we'll pick Lahaine. This sounds really good. And then I watched it, and my jaw was all the way to the fucking ground at the end. Oh shit, I didn't know you had the Criterion.
Ooh,
oh yeah,
right.
Sexy.
My first impressions, just kind of going in, I was like, okay, black and white, artistic, whatever.
What is this, French Clerks?
Dude, the dialogue in this movie is so fucking well written, dude. Like, it's so well written to the point where it's like you really believe these characters are fucking, you know, out here in the fucking slum.
Yeah, you have to remind yourself watching this that these are actors all the time. All the time.
There's a lot of really cool shots that I wouldn't have expected in a 95 indie movie from France.
It's not that indie, I don't think.
It's
like
$2
million budget. It was a $2 million budget and had $15 million in the box office.
And it looks so great. And it's stunning how well the black and white works.
The production design on this is it's god tier. It's some of the best production design ever.
There's a scene where he's doing, like, I think it's when he's doing the music, he's like scratching records outside.
Yeah.
And then right after he scratched the records, I don't know how they fucking filmed this.
I wrote this down.
They filmed him in the air, like the camera's in the air, and it's getting just like a huge like backdrop of what it is.
Iconic.
I'm sitting here like, how the fuck did they do that in 94? We don't have drones. We don't have things like that. Did they have just like a wire hanging there?
But then what was the wire attached to? I was trying to figure it out. It was
fucking cool. I was like, what is this?
Because it obviously wasn't a crane shot, and you can't fit a helicopter between all those buildings. They don't have helicopter money anyway. So
that's exactly it. I was like, there's obviously not a helicopter. And it was just it felt like it inspired it has to have inspired a lot of scenes today, because I've seen scenes that are similar like that in modern day, and it's like it was fucking nuts to me. I was
the execution of the mixture of cuts with the camera movement and the dialogue all together makes one of the coolest movies of all time. It's just cool.
I agree.
These guys are cool as fuck. And
I love the moral gray zone that we're in throughout the entire movie too. Like, there's no black. I mean, it's filmed in black and white, but everything is morally gray.
Yeah. Well, it's very clearly the central theme of the movie is just not being able to escape your surroundings, your system, generational poverty. All that's all grown into it. But the thing is, like, despite so many things that they're doing are morally reprehensible, these guys, you want to hang out with them.
Oh yeah,
because it just, even though we obviously in a smaller city in America had a completely different upbringing than these guys. It reminds you of shit you would do with your buddies all the time when you were younger, or just like cursing each other out and talking about banging each other's sisters and stuff. We all know you all want to bang my sister, but
your sister. Just shout out to Scott's sister. I'll see you soon.
This is a running joke. I don't have a sister.
He has a sister.
And but stuff like that. But also, it does a really good job at, I think, portraying these. It doesn't fall into some sort of a noble poverty stereotype. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At all. Because some of the things they do are objectively shitty.
It's fucked up, yeah.
Like they're trashing parties and,
See, I didn't find that super fucked up. I feel like that was just a drunken antics and something that's
still pretty. If you were at an art,
well, it's also kind of a, you want to make some backlash when you feel like you're made to not belong because you think maybe you're poor and stuff. I get it,
Shout out to being poor. There's what I really liked is at the beginning of the movie, they start talking about that gun, the gun that was picked up during the riots that the police dropped. And then I watched this with a friend last night, and me and him were like, I wonder who has that gun. And ends up Vinz has that gun.
Yeah.
And it's like it's a point of conflict throughout the entire movie between him and Hubie. And I thought it was interesting the takes that they both had on it. And then the climax at the end, what actually happened with that.
Well, yeah, let's talk about each character. You got Vince, who is now trying to act hard the whole movie. He wants to kill a cop. He wants to see some revenge for what they did and all that. And
his big thing is I'm not going to kill a cop unless Abdel dies.
I know. Well, I know, but he's just the whole movie. He's looking for a fight. He's trying to, I guess, prove himself or something. And then you've got Saeed, who's kind of in the middle. And then you've got Hubie, whatever, who the whole movie is like really trying to stop. He's trying to keep away from it, get out of it. He sees that billboard that says you could have a better life, and he's like, shit,
Well, that billboard there's a billboard that they passed that Saeed spray paints, and it translates. I can't remember what it says in French, but it translates into initially the world is your oyster, and he changes the "vous" to an "n."
Yeah, he says ours. It's ours. But awesome. Yeah, but Hubert the whole time he's like, no, hate breeds hate. You can't do that. We got I got to get out of the projects. So he's really struggling to not fall back into his lifestyle.
Well, and he was the most responsible out of all of them by far, because he had just gotten ownership of a boxing gym because he's an amateur boxer. But then, of course, their situation in the riots, it gets burned down. It's almost a running joke because they're like, how did somebody get a car into here? Because there's a burned out car in the middle of this boxing gym. But I mean, which is more of just the decay of like he's finally starting on the up and up, but then it all gets taken away from him just because he's surrounded by that. But he's still able to. Our introduction to him, we see him hitting the punching bag, but you definitely get the idea of he has the same amount of anger as any of the other characters, but even after the tragedy that happens to his property, he's able to focus it into something. As opposed to Vince, who's just going everywhere, no direction. Vince and Saeed just don't know what to do with it and are just screwing around.
Well, it's cool that we have like the three characters are so diverse too, because we have a Jew,
an Arab, and an African
American. Yeah,
he's not American.
He's definitely not African American.
Sorry,
but Saeed, you kind of he's not well off, but you don't really figure out where his parents are. Like he drops. He says, "Oh, my mom, my sister, my dad, they're all in jail." But his sister's not in jail, so
she's getting fucked by everybody.
He's kind of just making shit up. So you don't really know, but something's up, and you feel bad for him regardless for what it is.
Yeah,
because
I didn't really think about that. I assume he's just living in a crowded apartment like everybody else. Maybe not with his parents around, though. I don't know.
Yeah, well, you see his brother seems like big shit. You know, he's on top of the roof, and that's the voice of reason for not getting into a fight with a bunch of fucking cops at that point.
Oh yeah, they go onto the roof of the burned down gym and chill and eat hot dogs, and he doesn't even have 5 francs to give for a hot dog.
Which I looked up the exchange rate in 1995. That's like $1.
Yeah, so that's what it translated in the subtitles I had. It was $1. You ain't got a dollar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's funny as fuck.
But I also think is something. This is only something I noticed on the rewatch. This is a great movie to rewatch, especially knowing the ending, which we'll get into. But like, just that adds so much just trauma and dramatic irony to everything. But I like that the Jew and the Arab are just out of just eating hot dogs the whole time. Just because like his grandma at the beginning talks to Vince, like, you never go to temple and all this stuff, and like there's no God in their lives whatsoever.
Yeah.
They just live these depressing nihilistic existences. I don't got a problem with eating pork, but it's an interesting cult, very intentional that they were grilling hot dogs and not burgers.
There are bigger problems at play than eating fucking pork.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's kind of like I think it's like a Chris Rock joke where it's like, poor kids don't have food allergies. It's something like that. It's like, yeah, you're allergic to peanuts. Well, you better build up a tolerance like iocane powder. Okay, you gotta get used to it.
The way, the camera movement is so awesome, and how it'll they'll walk over to a group of people and it just follows them, and then it doesn't circle, but it kind of makes sure to get a good angle of each person, and it goes around. And then also there's a lot of shots where it starts somewhere and then it somehow moves through like a chain link fence or like a bar or something, and you're like, how did it get through there? And it's just really cool.
I liked the zoom-ins. The zoom-ins were very purposeful, and I liked it. Like the very first one when they meet Vinz, he's got the rings on his finger.
Yeah, it makes it feel very personal, very like you're there, grounded.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the way that this was shot. That was probably one of my favorite parts of the whole
thing. For sure, very influential in that regard.
There's a lot of just characters in the foreground while really the action is happening in the background.
Yeah,
which I always found very interesting and very intentional. And I was trying to figure out what the cinematographer was trying to do with that, and I don't know if there's a cut and dry answer. I think it's just kind of highlighting the state of these people just being morose in their environment, just shit's going on around them, and they're
just natural. It's not
huddled to themselves as there's people passing money in the background or whatever.
The way that they use the guns and the violence in the movie too doesn't feel like super exploitative either.
No. And a gun's a big deal in Europe. If this is an American movie, it'd be like, yeah, I got a gun, so do I. Yeah. So what?
Right. It's like there's that scene where the guy pulls up and he's got the shotgun and he shoots at the lieutenant, and it's like, this is for Abdel. And that's like all done in the background, and then they finally see it and then they run up.
Yeah.
But they don't really notice that at first. And then once they end up getting up there, the police officer doesn't point his gun at the crowd. I noticed that. He just holds it up. Like, he's not being like, get the fuck back. He just flashes his gun, and they're like, okay, yeah, let's not fuck with that.
Then you have the plainclothes police officers who are out for blood, wanting to fuck up people. And of course that causes a problem, and it's very infuriating.
Just gonna throw a casual ACAB.
This movie is I don't know how ACAB translates to French, but it's pretty explicitly ACAB. Yeah. There's really not any sympathy for the police.
Except for Hubie. Hubie literally states, he's like, all cops aren't bad, but every skinhead, no good skinhead's only good skinhead's a dead skinhead.
Yeah. And there's also just rebellion, well, not just that, but there's a scene where a news reporter tries to get some shitty shit out of the situation, trying to ask them what they think and stuff. And
were you in the riots?
Yeah, and they're like, get the fuck out of here, you know. And
like, do we look like a bunch of thugs?
Yeah. What does he say? He's like,
as you say that as you're rolling a joint on a playground.
Yeah. Well, he's like, this ain't the thoiry. And then the guy's like, what the fuck's the thoiry? He's like, oh, it's a safari. He's like, yeah, this ain't the zoo.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. I'll tell you what, dude, there's a point. There's one scene that just reminded me of it was Saeed kept telling fucking Vinz about a line that his friend said. He's like, I'll waste you for free, and he just kept fucking saying it. And I was just like, I could feel like my brain just being like, shut the fuck up. And I was like, oh, that's probably exactly how Vince feels right now.
Yeah, and it's just dudes bullshitting, you know, like super
cool
bad except very serious.
Yeah, super bad.
Like Clerks, except way more socially conscious.
Yeah.
Tell me the Clerks ain't socially conscious.
Not the way this movie is. I think Clerks in its own way is socially conscious, but in a very different way.
It's interesting that the indie film movement in the 90s could be so vast and different in different parts of the country. You got shit in America like Slacker and Clerks around this time, and then you got Haine, and I don't know. It's just I love
shows what was going on at the time in those different countries.
Yeah,
because like I said, I was reading into like the historical context of what was going on here, and these riots were caused by the freeze of money that service workers were having, and people were rioting over that. There's a lot of points in the movie where this guy's like, there's people that are like, oh, my welfare ran out, or I ain't got any money. Well, the reason why they don't have any fucking money is because the government stipend and stopped it. And it's like, fuck. Wow. That.
And like, yeah, they're doing anything they can to get money, and so much so that Saeed he visits that guy who owes him
Snoopy
asterisk or whatever.
Oh, that's, you know why? Do you know who Asterix and Obelix are?
Yeah, the cartoon characters.
Yeah, the cartoon characters.
Yeah, okay. like the Viking. Yeah, I've read the.
Yeah, well, that's why then when they're calling, I was stupid, I guess, and didn't know when I first watched it. That's why because it's not popular in America at all. That's why they're calling people like, hey, do you have Asterix here? They'd be like, I'm calling them up and being like, hey, do you got Goku in your apartment? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Okay, so here's another interesting thing on mine. So I guess in y'all's subtitle version, they had Asterix and whatever. Uh-huh. Mine was Snoopy and Charlie Brown.
Oh yeah, because they assume that we're a bunch of knuckle dragons. I was like,
okay, yeah, I know. Okay, that's fucking really interesting.
Well, that's what, because one of the ladies they call is like, hey, is Asterix there? And then she laughs on the intercom at the apartment. It's like, is Obelix, you looking for Obelix too?
Yeah, you know? She was like, I don't have Snoopy here, but I got Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
Oh, weird. Your subtitles are weird.
That is
Criterion, so, you know.
That is odd, but
Snoopy was a fun character.
That guy is fucking
awesome. You guys want a lot of Coke? Just a little lot of Coke, no Coke? And it's just like, okay.
The guy shows up for one scene and is just still being that actor in one scene, going crazy. Fun role, I bet.
I love one scene people that get to go crazy.
It's such a drug dealer, coked up drug dealer character.
And he makes them think that he's doing Russian roulette. And
he has the bullets at the
end. I forgot that he, pulled the bullets out. So I was like, damn. But the fact that he wasn't actually doing it and that he pulled the bullets out the whole time helps keep it grounded a bit. So I like that.
Well, yeah, because it would jump the shark if they walked in and he was actually playing Russian roulette.
Yeah,
I like how Saeed still didn't get the money from him.
Oh yeah,
and then it ended up only being like $100.
Yeah, it's like $100.
He was like, "How much was it? Like 1,000?" And he was like, "No, it's like $100."
It's like, how much is train tickets for 3 people to the center of Paris and back from the suburbs?
Yeah,
that'd be cheap. I doubt they paid.
Yeah. Nah, you might have it depends on, I guess, your pass and how many zones your
did they have passes like that back in the 90s? Or is that
you had a bus pass or something.
Probably.
I don't know. We don't have public transportation here in fucking Arkansas.
Oh yeah, in the Americas, they don't have that shit.
But we have guns.
We do have guns.
So I do. That's a one-way ticket wherever you want.
Yeah, I guess.
I'll tell you what, I like seeing different like slums and hoods from different countries. Like I love watching like this. I like watching American like slum and hood movies, and then like seeing the comparisons between like that and like Haine. And it's just interesting. Like I kept pulling in different comparisons to other, fucking.
Oh yeah, this movie is very similar to
Do the Right Thing.
The Society.
Yeah,
dude, it reminded me at the beginning, the way it's shot and everything like that reminded me of Trainspotting a lot.
Yeah.
You have you got heroin needles in this movie briefly.
So yeah, which there's a lot of small details, which is important for me.
The production is, I'm telling you, man, the production design on this is
like
world class.
He was just sitting there and he just kind of rolls a heroin needle over with his foot, and then it just goes back to what he was doing, thinking about.
Dude, I've been walking in a park and like almost stepped on heroin needles before.
That's scary.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I found heroin needles are scary. I thought it was interesting that they're really not like big drug users. They just smoke hash and drink a little bit in the movie.
Yeah.
Like,
no. Who doesn't? They don't have money to be big drug users.
Well, I was surprised that none of them really were selling drugs or anything like that.
No, Hubert, whatever his name was, is he gets back into it, right? He wasn't.
Yeah, he gets into like the selling the hash.
Selling hash.
Because like
he has to.
He's like, you smoking again? He's like, yeah, I guess so. Everything's gone to shit. So I guess I'll smoke again.
Might as well be high for it.
But like one of the best scenes is when Vinz finally shows them that he has the piece, and they're in that dark corridor and it goes in on them, and Hubert takes it and he's like holding it and he's like, what are you going to do with this? You for real? Icing a pig's going to give you respects. And Vinz is trying to justify it, and it's beautiful, interesting dynamics because all three of them are obviously deal with discrimination and hate and violence in their own ways because of their backgrounds. So
one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie is right after that they're running away from the police, and Vince pulls that gun and Hubie has to punch the cop out. They go back to the bathroom and they start arguing, and they're arguing that whole time, and then at the end that old man comes out. He talks about his friend freezing to death after taking a shit because he couldn't pull his pants up. And they all just kind of look at each other like, what the fuck did he tell us?
The story is that the guy, they were all going to get on a train. They all had to take a shit, but because the guy wanted to hide in a bush to take a shit, he missed the train and froze to death because he couldn't pull his own pants up. Just some
random guy. About it towards the end, like, why the fuck did that guy tell us that?
I think there's something to you try to reach out and you try to get pulled up by your friends, but you're so busy just trying to keep your own pants up that none of you can really help each other.
Also, like in times of extreme duress, sometimes you gotta make compromises, and not worry about image and stuff.
Well, it's
do what you gotta do.
And you don't have dignity. You can't afford dignity.
Yeah,
you can't take a dump in a bush. You have to do it in front of everybody because you're going to work.
I don't think we mentioned that was I was going to a Siberian death camp. So like, yeah, that's fucking intense. It's funny that guy just came out and told that story though.
And then there was another guy in another stall who comes out after they all leave and then just immediately cuts.
The ability of this movie to transition so quickly between tension and humor and guys fucking around, but there's obviously still something simmering underneath is a trick that very few movies can do. I already said this, but Do the Right Thing gets compared to this film a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't just being okay. Yeah, that's a good comparison. I was thinking I didn't realize a lot of people were thinking that. I thought I was original.
Yeah, in fact, a good triple feature would be this, Do the Right Thing, and Menace to Society. Oh.
Aladdin, you said? Yeah,
Damn, I haven't seen Menace to Society in a minute too.
I've only seen the opening.
I need a resurgence of like fucking ghetto movies where like like genuinely, I need a resurgence of that because I was like fucking obsessed with them for a while. And Haine, I would even put into like it's more political, but it's a ghetto movie, you know?
Yeah,
like,
they're in the ghetto.
I need that shit. I need more of those.
They get called ghetto.
I want to talk about the word ghetto real quick because that just reminded me of something. There was when they kind of walk in and crash this art exhibition, this really pretentious modern art exhibition, and they're like drinking flutes of champagne and shoving hors d'oeuvres in their mouth the whole time, and flirting very badly with women who are actually beautiful and interested in them, but they're too like stupid and angry to flirt with because they lack all subtlety, which is another thing. That's just another example of like you could have something good in your life if you just weren't just beaten down psychologically.
Do we know how old they are?
Like, I think they're like 18. I think Hubert might be Hubert or whatever might be a little older.
Okay, because there's a point where it's like every time that something is said to Vinz, there's like a half the time he's always just like someone's like, hey, quit leaning on the painting. He's like, you're the painting. Or like just keeps like throwing these really childish fucking jokes out back.
I think he's like 17, 18 because they talk about why are you not at school? And he's like, school burned down.
Okay. Because those would always crack me up. Like there's a point where it's like, hey, let me smoke that joint. It's like, you're the joint. None of these make sense. But
I know you are, but what am I?
Yeah, it's super mature. Thoroughly
but no,
the art gallery is fucking intense though.
It is, and the thing is though, when they're in the art gallery, I think that's another. They really needed that scene. I think they needed to show high society at some point in this movie, and not just have cops and poor people. I think they really needed to show your upper middle, upper classes in this movie, and that's how they did it. And there's one thing at the end of that scene where they get thrown out. Okay, rightfully so. But which is interesting because as a viewer, it really challenges your perspective because you sympathize with these characters so much. Where on the one hand, you completely know why they're acting that way, but on the other hand, if I imagine you're an artist and trying to like show off your art, and then these kids come in or like yelling and fighting and do all that stuff. Understandably, you would want them gone, which I think it has the intended effect of if you're a person, next time you see some hooligans hooliganing, you might think more about their background, if you've seen this movie, which is what that is. But there's something about one of the older guys, curator or some guy at the gallery, he shuts the door on them and then he says the malaise of the ghetto to them, which the thing is that struck me as is this highly academic language.
Tone deaf motherfucker.
That's tone deaf. It's kind of, I don't know. It's kind of like white liberal Hillary stands. Like I voted for Hillary, but I wasn't excited about it. People who kind of trust this sort of like corporate neoliberalism. I know I'm kind of using American terms here, and I don't know what I'm talking about either. But these people who like really shit on the poor and give no shit about the poor, despite their supposed progressive-ness. That's
fucking running rampant throughout our country for sure.
Oh, exactly. Absolutely. And I'm
fake ass allies is what it is. It's all for show. They want to donate to these big shelters, but God forbid they put that shelter a couple blocks from their house,
Yeah, NIMBY, bro. Not my backyard.
Then you feel bad for Hubert because the whole time he's trying to stuff it down and move on and try and do what he can to leave this kind of lifestyle, but then he just keeps getting hit with things in front of him that he sees that are fucked, and it just breaks him down even more. Like when when Saeed gets out of jail because that cop gets him out, and they're seeing all the inmates, all the people unjustly held there, that they're just like them, and the camera kind of does a 360 around Hubert, and he's just full of different emotions and anger, but he's keeping it pent up inside, so it's gonna pop out eventually. It's hard because how many people would love to get out of the situation that they're in life, especially poverty or around stuff like this.
It's not about how you fall, it's about how you land.
Yeah, which is what the movie opens with, if people listening,
Closes
and
with.
ends. So
far so good.
And the movie makes sure to give you enough not backstory, just development, because Hubert goes back to his house for a second. You see his sister, you see his mom like making shit on the stove, so you get a chance to see that he's just some normal guy. And
go ahead.
He doesn't come, his dad's not in the picture, but he clearly has a loving home life. And,
here's the thing.
But they're thinking of they're talking to, Hubert was talking earlier to a fence. And one of the things his mom asked for is a new sewing machine, because she has what I assume is a side hustle, sewing, repairing things, or maybe that's just her only job. But then B, she even asked for textbooks for Hubert's sister.
Yeah.
Because that's how poor they are, that they need to find a fence for textbooks. And of course, Hubert's like, that's not really his line that he deals with.
I got a couple things I want to say about that. First off, in my subtitle, they called the fence guy Walmart.
My God, dude, what the fuck is up?
You need to watch this movie again with better.
Yeah, I do. They called it Walmart. They called him Walmart.
That's embarrassing.
Why don't you learn French?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna learn French just for this one film and then forget it a month later.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, but I had a question in my head, was whenever he walks into his house and he sets the money on top of the fridge, at what age do parents find that appropriate to take money from their kids to pay for the bills that they don't know where that money's coming from?
If you're poor,
I
think like 9.
Thought of it, because like I've had to pay my mother's bills before, and it's but not when I don't know how old they were or how long he's been doing that.
I want to say Hubert's probably like 20.
I don't know. She kind of seemed like she had like an apprehensive look on her face for a second when she saw the money, and then quickly was like, "No, I need this."
How did he get that money?
I interpreted it, she had I think she had apprehension seeing just him being back, and then when she saw the money, she's like, "Oh, I'm glad he's back." That's how I took it almost. But I think he was selling hash for the longest time. But it's just like, where does the line draw? Like how young? Like, I don't know. There's a lot of gray areas in this,
Yeah. And I like the way they use white flashes to create just to kind of like snap you into whatever next scene they're doing, or snap back to reality or whatever. Like when he has the
humanity.
And
it's fucking cool the way that they do these like imagining sequences. I think
sure. You think he's holding the gun, but
yeah, dude, I shit my pants because they finally say that Abdel's dead, and he immediately walks out and sees 2 cops, and it's all you see is him holding the gun and blasting these people away. And I'm like, man, that was quick. But then it cuts back in, and it's Hubert being like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And it's just got his hand.
Yeah.
Gun. It was fucking crazy to me. I had my mouth like freaking out at that. I was like, that was fucking quick. Man's a man of his word.
Yeah. And there's a scene where while Hubert's back home, he's like making hash again, and then he makes a joint for himself and he like smokes it, and it just reeks of sadness to me. He's like fallen back into his shit that he's trying to get out of, and like, but then he opens the window and he looks out and sees his fellow man, his neighbors, and all these kids and stuff. He remembers what it's all about, and then which transitions us to the DJ who's in his room playing "Fuck the Police," like on a turntable. It really gives you a good sense of connected community and caring for these people around you, your hood, your ghetto, whatever. And so it backs up a lot of the riskier things they try to do for whatever reason they think it's justified, whether it's to get money or if it's to stand up for their community or whatever. It's hard for, I'm sure, some people watching this to justify some of the actions of this movie, but
they're bootlickers.
Yeah, the But I don't know. Yeah, the scene where the dude is playing that music, the DJ, and then it goes over the neighborhood even more. It's just beautiful to me, but also really sad, and these people are struggling.
Favorite scene in that whole fucking movie.
Yeah,
I was amazed by it, especially with it being 1995. Still feels like movie magic.
Yeah, for real.
What the fuck? How they do this? I had to rewind it a couple times. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
That is one thing.
How'd they do it, Scott?
How'd they do it?
Yeah.
What do you mean? How do I think they did it?
No, yeah. How'd they fly it over? Because I don't see any wires or anything.
I don't know. I assume what I have to assume. The only thing I can think of is off camera. Because it's as high, if not higher, than the buildings in part of that shot. So I assume that they must have had some sort of structure, put up some poles or something, and then hung a wire between those to swing it. But even then, I'm really not sure. That is one of the things I do like about watching older movies. You watch a movie now and you think, oh, well, they did all that on a computer, or they used a drone or anything.
Yeah.
It does take away a lot of the magic when you can just not that there would be CGI in this anyway, but when you can CGI anything, as opposed to when they make an effect and you're like, how the heck did they do that? You watch like the 1940s Invisible Man movie and the guy takes off his wrapping and is invisible, and you're like, how did they film that?
That's the biggest thing missing from a lot of movies today. I think if studios of today would realize how they could still shock and wow us if they did more like practical effects and stuff, how more magical it could be. So
and I'm not even an anti-CGI guy at all. I think there's a time and place for it.
Sure.
I think there's a lot of CGI you don't notice. I mean, Rocket Jump Film School has a whole video on this that is a classic and everybody should watch. But there is something missing in modern movies with that.
Well, I'll talk about this at a later time, but I want to briefly say that there's in the new Ghostbusters movie, what are those fucking dog things called from the original?
The Zool, or Zool, but I know the gargoyle looking thing.
Yeah, those things. When they're in this new one up close, they look like animatronics. So I was really happy to see that.
That's cool. I like that.
We'll get into that movie at a later time.
We talked about the art gallery with the scene right after the art gallery where they're trying to hijack the car.
Oh yeah,
drunk dude just comes up, tells him that Saeed's right. For one, I don't understand how he knew Saeed's name. I don't know if they said it while he was around.
I think they said it.
But that tripped me out for a second because I didn't catch that. Yeah. But like him helping them out, and then like the cops come and they all start running away, and he's like, "Fuck it, I feel like he's like, I'm gonna use a point of privilege here and distract these fucking cops." And he starts jumping on the cop car.
Also, he's down in the dumps because his wife left him, so he doesn't really have much to lose. He's just like, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna do this shit."
That guy's a bro.
He's a bro for sure.
I was like, where did this guardian angel come from?
Thing. Nah, dude. This movie just has a lot of random elements that come out of nowhere because that's just how it is, I guess, in their neighborhood.
Yeah. Paris, big Paris.
Oh shit! Yeah, like right before they go to that art gallery, whenever they come out of jail or whatever, Vinz goes to that boxing match and then rides with that dude, and that dude fucking smokes the bouncer of a club. And I think Vinz realizes like, I'm not that hard.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, I'm not. That's not the life.
He's fucking shook as hell.
Like that scene was one of the most fucked up scenes in the movie.
No, because that's sociopathic even by criminal standards. Because you don't really gain anything for that. That's just you perceive disrespect and you end somebody's life over.
Well, it's like I just watched The Warriors last night, right after that, and like the ending scene, the dude who shoots Cyrus at the beginning. They're just like, so why'd you do it? And he's like, because I like doing that. And like, it's just like that style of fucking villain. I love that shit.
It was like after Vince sees that, he like doubles down and makes sure that Hubert knows. He's like, look, okay, like I'm not gonna kill a pig unless, you know, certain things happen. And, you know, so obviously he learned from that. But
this dude's way too hard for me.
Also, we just get some world building scenes of just culture, like dudes breakdancing and stuff, and they just watch it and stuff.
It's like hip hop was huge in fucking France. Like,
it gives you a time for a little breather while they just kind of hang out and stuff. That's cool. What I love.
And then it immediately cuts to them being chased by the police. That's the next scene.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah,
the dude shoots the
and they're just not doing anything. They're just in some old shitty rundown apartment, possibly abandoned apartment building.
Yeah,
and then is that I don't remember if that's a scene where the guys shoot the cops with a shotgun.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's right before that.
Yeah.
So what I noticed is that everybody leaves and then the breakdancers still breakdancing.
Oh yeah.
Like, we ain't finished yet, bitches. Like, cracked me up. I don't know why I laughed so hard at that, but I was like in tears laughing at that.
Yeah, that's it. And
they're so in the zone.
Yeah, man, you can't stop if I'm spinning a fucking.
They didn't see it, and they thought the gunshots were just part of the music track.
That could be true.
Yeah, but then that scene where the dude shoots with the shotgun, and then they're all like,
GTFO.
The cops start kicking the shit out of him and stuff, and then you see Hubert run up, and then all the people behind him, and then they all just rush up and try and take on the cops. But even in that moment, Hubert, whatever, he's like, whoa, stop, you know, but he can't help but get involved. And then even if it's to try and stop all the people behind him from attacking the cops.
Think about it, they all had cell phones.
Ooh.
Like this movie would be completely different set here in modern day. I think it works perfectly.
I don't know, would it?
Well, the cell phone thing I think is a big thing.
Yeah, it is. I do notice at one point when they're on the roof, one guy does have a camcorder.
Yeah.
With the cops, of course, then distribution is a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? Yeah.
We're selling bootleg cop videos.
Yeah, World Star was not a thing.
Yeah.
It shows that. I just think it's interesting that if they had cell phone like being presented today, I don't think it would work because a lot of that is a lot of people still have faith in the cops because they're not seeing a whole lot of it. But also at the same time, it's like the exposure that would happen for it. The government would have to step in. Like the only filming we're getting is from the news outlets.
Well, yeah, it's fucking terrible and sad that surveillance via cell phones is the only thing that is making cops try and choose another route with what they're doing. And
I also thought it was interesting whenever they're sitting in front of all those TVs waiting for the train, I guess. They had the Bosnian conflict on there.
Oh yeah,
because that was happening at the same. It's like it just shows that there's injustices all around the world, and that there's just a small pocket of injustice.
Yeah, there's just one little piece in this thing.
Yeah.
Right. It's hell. Vince was talking about it when they were on I love that scene where they're on the rooftop and they shit talk the skinheads because fuck skinheads. But one thing about that movie, by the way, if we're talking about this movie being relevant, when the far right party, the national rally or national whatever in France, at one point he says, "Hey skinheads, fuck Le Pen." Le Pen was a politician who's the leader of that party, and now his daughter is the leader of that party and is still active in French politics and are anti-immigration. They have exactly the same stances you would expect them to be. So, and she was running for president, and Emmanuel Macron won instead, who's kind of center left, I guess. But but I don't know. That's just another example of, and they didn't know it at the time, but this movie being still relevant because you could say "fuck Le Pen" today and it'd be just as relevant because she's in office doing stuff. Yeah. So that was something. But there's that point. About them being so small in that. And first of all, there's a point where Saeed is like, "Watch, I'm gonna put out the Eiffel Tower," and is snapping. And they're like, "What, do you think you're in a movie?" or something.
Hey,
because we are get it, guys.
Look at the camera.
Wink.
It's less of a wink. I don't know.
No, it's not a wink. It's saying like this shit's gonna go south. This is not gonna have a happy ending. It's this is real. That's what it's saying.
I like how it turned off like 30 seconds after they left too.
Yeah.
But then
eerie about it makes you feel.
It's very eerie because right before that, Vince is talking about I feel like an ant lost in galactic space or whatever he says, something like that.
Yeah.
About how just absolutely powerless and insignificant he feels.
Galactic space ants. That's the movie.
That's Haine too. Galactic space ants. You just see Humbert just punching giant ants off. Cool.
The way that I also liked that another thing that cell phones would have fucked up this movie is that the way that they learn about Abdel's death. They're sitting there relaxing, finally about to make it home, and they see it on all the TVs in front of them.
Yeah.
And
there's something about that because they're learning at the same time, and they don't expect to learn it. They're not searching for information.
No, they're pretty much like, we're home free. We had a crazy night. Let's make it.
Yeah,
home.
We just got to wait for the trains to start back up. But then, there's something less impactful. Ding! Oh, I got a text, bro.
Here's this tweet. Oh no, fucking
CNN news alert. Yeah, it just doesn't work as well. Also, because then you can't. What do you have to do? Show a zoom in to the screen of the camera. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Of the phone, which is not as cinematic. I read an article once. Think of how hard it is to just interestingly portray phones in cinema, which is something you have to do if you want modern storytelling. Sometimes. And then think about having to do that on a stage, like in a play.
Yeah.
It's like, I got a text or I got a phone call.
Or giant images of what the text says on stage or something.
Yeah. It's weird.
That works in comedies, but not in serious films.
No.
But,
I love that they finally make it home, and then everything.
Let's talk about the ending, because that, even knowing what was going to happen, rewatching it, the shock it still makes you jump.
It's still there.
It fucked me up.
And here's my take on the second viewing. It makes this entire second viewing that much more tragic, knowing how Vince is going to die.
Yeah.
And I actually forgot exactly how it happens. I forgot that the cop accidentally kills Vince.
Yeah, it's not even on fucking. Oh my god! So basically, background on this, they finally make it back to where they're supposed to be. Vince is like, I don't need this gun. Basically, hands it off to Hubie. They separate ways. And as Vinz and Saeed are walking away one way, Hubie's walking the other, and cops pull up, plainclothes cops, and start to arrest Vinz and Saeed. Well, Hubert turns around and starts walking towards them, trying to help his friends, having that gun on him. And as he's walking over there, he gets right to the point of them and is about to speak. And this cop is gloating and accidentally fires a shot directly into the fucking dome of Vinz, who had just basically taken the moral high ground, said that he's not going to do this.
Yeah.
So immediately you get to this point where just that scene, I was fucking heartbroken over that.
Yeah.
I was like, man, this is such a progressive moment for this character to just be gone.
And Hubie, he was encouraging killing the skinhead.
Yeah.
And Vince didn't, because he had degenerated. And then Vince's, because hate begets hate, violence begets violence is part of the movie. Haine. Vince pulls Hubert out of it as he falls, and then they try to pull it up. But this movie, you just want to give these kids a hug, even though they're all 25-year-old actors. But in the movie, they're 18. And so you just want to give them a hug the whole movie, but you can't.
Right. That when he finally pulls that gun and they're both looking at each other, they both got the cop and Hubert have that gun pulled, and he's giving the quotes like, so far, so good, so far. It just keeps repeating that. And then it cuts to black with the gunshots. And I was just like,
it does, because it doesn't, you feel like it doesn't matter who gets shot because their morals have died anyway, and their life is fucked regardless. So it doesn't matter.
I read this part on this article because I started reading about this after it, and they talk about the standoff between Hubert and the cop is underlined by the voiceover of the slightly modified opening lines. It's about a society in free fall, and underlining the fact is that, as the line says, so far so good, all seems to be going relatively well until Vinz is killed, And from there, no one knows what will happen. A microcosm of French society's descent through hostility into pointless violence.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, that fucking.
There's the way it's cut. You have the same shock that Saeed has. And the way it punches you in the gut and the pure like horror on his face is overwhelming, and it actually makes me emotional.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even now, talking about it,
very powerful ending.
It was a very big gasp on my part, and then being like, "Does this just fucking happen?" Like, wow, I feel like we just watched this whole thing and it ends so abruptly.
Yeah.
Bro, it's almost as bad as the end of Infinity War, bro. When everybody died.
I feel weird.
It's almost as bad as Peter.
Yeah, dude, this is like when Peter died and Peter Quill and Gamora.
Every movie relates to MCU.
Dude, MCU are the only movies. Okay.
Speaking of next week.
2 weeks from now. We got 2 weeks until it comes out.
Yeah, but we're gonna do an MCU cast because we're soulless virgins.
Are we?
Well, me and Catcher at least.
I might drop in on it. I'm not completely caught up. Oh, is it about the TV shows?
It's just about the whole MCU.
Okay, I haven't watched the TV show. I don't even care about them, honestly. I kind of want to see Eternals just because it's supposed to be different.
Okay, well, hold on. Before we move on to this, any final thoughts on Haine?
My second viewing solidified that this is one of my favorite movies.
I will most likely watch it again. It is definitely you nailed it. It's definitely the type of movie that I fucking love. So yeah,
it's one of my favorite films.
It was a solid fucking film. Solid fucking film.
I think in my opinion, they should show this to kids in school. Like not kids, but like teenagers.
In French class.
No, just in general. Like teenagers should watch this movie. It's one of those to me.
Even if you're not from the PJs, if you're not from the projects or whatever, if you're
that's the point. A lot of these suburban fucking kids need perspective.
Yeah, and they probably wouldn't fucking get it though. Well, but even if you're just an angry kid who's just like,
I forgot to mention this. This movie reminded me of you guys know Harmony Korine, right?
Yeah,
he directed that movie Kids.
Yeah,
it had a very similar vibe to fucking Kids from there. With a lot more political.
Yeah, but this is a little more appropriate for teenagers and
yeah, Kids has children fucking and stuff. So.
Well, that if any listeners at home don't know, Kids inspired a scene in Moon Man where there's a bunch of shirtless guys on a couch all passing a blunt that's inspired by that movie. So know your influence, I guess. Except instead of greasy 20-somethings in Moon Man, it's young kids.
Yeah, kids, you might say even.
At the max, like 17 years old.
Yeah. Really, there's kids in the movie Kids, Adrian? Did we need that? Did we need you mansplaining cinema to me? Kino Cowboy, you monarch as fuck.
We can do a Gummo cast if you want. But
now we should do a Spring Breakers cast if we're doing
Spring Breakers is okay.
It's fine.
It's good.
I love Spring Breakers so
it's
much.
Good, but it's not Gummo.
I just fucking love James Franco in that role. So
yeah, you would.
He is. Yeah, because he's such a scumbag in real life. It was easy for him to get into.
What's funny, it's like he plays basically a white Gucci Man, and then Gucci Man is also in that fucking movie.
He plays Riff Raff.
Supposed to be Riff Raff, yeah.
He looks like fucking Gucci Man, Riff Raff, all that. They're like the similar type of situations. Yeah. But Gucci Man is also in that fucking movie.
Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. We're moving into the after show talking about Gucci Mane. Stick around if you want to hear about that. And other
Gucci gang
shit. Parker loves Gucci Mane. I don't know if she's seen Spring Breakers. I remember when Spring Breakers came out and all the popular girls at my school went to go see it, and then they're like, this is the worst movie ever. This is not what I thought it was going to be. And I think being a snob was like, yeah, you didn't get the satire.
It's not even close to being subtle.
I think
but that's what made it embarrassing to me, but also funny that they thought it was going to be some crazy like party movie.
I think it misguided everybody though. Everybody thought it was going to be like all these fucking teen stars growing up. Like
that's the point of the marketing of that movie. And I do wonder what the marketing department thinks, or if they're even thinking. Do they think, is the idea of, we don't care if people like this movie, we just want butts and seats? That must be it. Because you're gonna piss off people with that sort of bait and switch.
Yeah, I legitimately think that like the studio watched the movie and they're like, well, shit, I guess we really have to like focus on what's her name?
Selena Gomez.
Vanessa Hudgens, Selena Gomez, whoever.
Yeah, really try and like get butts and seats, like you said. They're like, well, fuck it.
There was a point a few years ago where my text tone from my phone was fucking Alien going spring break forever. I fucking love that movie.
Spring break is such, I'm not talking about spring break. I'm talking about capital S, capital B. Spring break in Florida is such a weird thing. Weird American privileged, just
a thing
parents living through their children, disgusting thing.
I wanted to experience it so bad as a teenager.
Did you really?
Yeah, dude, go to fucking spring break party.
I was too busy drinking Mountain Dew and playing.
Get chlamydia and do cocaine. That's really bad for you.
I like that the finale of 22 Jump Street takes place on spring break.
Of course it does.
I wish we were British so we could go on holiday to like Ibiza.
Oh yeah,
I can do it.
I wish we were British just so we could say, "Oh yeah, I'm on holiday."
You can say it. You just said it.
Yeah, but no one here says that.
I wish we were British so I could say Lori.
I've been watching Ted Lasso.
It's a sweet show. One of the things, I only saw 2 episodes of Ted Lasso. I appreciate a show that depicts a successful person having panic attacks.
Yeah.
It does it well.
Yeah,
like Iron Man 3.
There's a lot of shit that he doesn't know, like in terms of like British slang and stuff like that, and that's always cracked me up on that.
You guys know I have to teach British English, right? It is disgusting. And but no, one of the words they have for, because I couldn't even think of the word in American English for, like, not a butcher, but somebody who works in a fish shop, the same thing. I don't even know what you'd call that person. Apparently in the UK, they call them a fishmonger. You're a fishmonger.
That sounds like obscene. That sounds like
you're a warmonger or a fishmonger. Hey, shut up, you fishmonger. Yeah, it sounds almost like a racial slur for like.
Honestly, it probably is. Go check and see what the statistics are on who's fucking working as a fishmonger. You know how the British like their subtle racism.
It's not always subtle.
In their you know the colonialism.
Colonialism. Man, I think a lot of with French society, there's a lot of black people in France because they had some colonies, you know. And whenever I hear about French racism, I'm like, hey, you know how you got Africans in your country? If you don't want that, don't, colonize Africa. Yeah. That's kind of my response. Well, I don't know. The whole time I don't know why I'm obsessed with this. I keep thinking, like, do people expect that the brothers like swam across the Strait of Gibraltar and crossed the Pyrenees just to get racially profiled?
Just call them the fucking brothers.
Dude, I mean, I'm just imagining, like, do you think 1,000 years ago, a bunch of do you think they just, hey, let's go on a vacation to the Pyrenees from Africa? I don't know.
You don't think Africans want to go to the fucking Pyrenees?
No, I bet they do, and I bet it's beautiful. Okay.
Guys, I got to get off of here. I got to get ready to go to Fayetteville. I'm going to a rave tonight. It's not really a rave, but I'm gonna go party tonight.
Right. I was a rave in Fayetteville.
Well, it's a band called the Floozies. They're like an electronic funk band. They're pretty fun. Yeah. Lasers and wompy shit. So.
Lasers and wompy shit.
Yeah, so I'll catch you guys later.
Later, bro.
See ya, chump.
Am I gone yet?
Nope.
I don't believe.
I hope you are.
Yeah, bye.